She leaned over the first-class armrest, squinted at me like I didn't belong there, and said loud enough for the whole cabin to hear, "People like you shouldn't sit in first class." Her voice dripped with arrogance. Her husband smirked. Passengers glanced up. A flight attendant froze mid-step, but the woman didn't realize. I wasn't just any passenger, I was the Federal Air Marshal assigned to this flight, and I had been quietly tracking her and her husband since the boarding gate, because they were already on the watch list. This wasn't just rude, it was dangerous. And she had no idea she was about to start something she couldn't control. I boarded Delta Flight 768 from Atlanta to Seattle, a 6-hour flight. Routine assignment. I was supposed to blend in, observe, and ensure nothing compromised passenger safety. As an air marshal, anonymity is everything. No badge showing, no weapon visible, no interaction unless absolutely necessary. I took my first-class seat like any normal traveler. Simple gray jacket, black shirt, neutral posture. Across the aisle, a woman in her late 50s, expensive jewelry, oversized sunglasses, designer handbag on the seat next to her. The type who believed rules applied to everyone but her. Her name was Linda, but she absolutely had Karen energy. Behind her, her husband, red face, impatient tapping, constantly complaining. "These seats are too narrow. This airline is a joke. Why is boarding taking so long?" I clocked everything not because they were rude, but because their names already appeared on my internal list. Possible involvement in identity fraud plus suspicious travel patterns, but nothing was confirmed. So I observed quietly. Then came the moment. Boarding was nearly complete when a young man, early 20s, Latino, working-class clothes, politely asked if I could let him pass so he could reach his economy seat. Karen looked him up and down like he was dirty. Then she muttered, "Economy is back there. People like him shouldn't even walk through first class." I already disliked her, but I stayed silent. Not my job to intervene yet. It was when she targeted me that everything changed. I was simply adjusting the seatbelt when Karen leaned across the aisle and tapped my arm hard. "Excuse me, I think you're in the wrong cabin." I looked up, slowly calm, neutral. She continued, "First class is for business travelers, professionals, people who can afford it." Her husband chimed in with a laugh. "Yeah, not for your type." Said nothing. Air marshals don't escalate, we observed. But she took my silence as permission to go full attack mode. "Show me your boarding pass," she demanded. A flight attendant stepped over. "Ma'am, please take your seat." "No, not until he proves he belongs here. I fly this route every month. I know who belongs in this cabin." She turned to the passengers. "I'm not racist or anything, but every time someone says that something racist is coming, then she said it. People like him shouldn't be in first class." The cabin went silent. I took a breath. Still calm, still low profile. The flight attendant, nervous but professional, said, "Ma'am, he is in the correct seat. Please sit down before we delay the flight." Karen snapped back, "I don't believe that. Look at him, he's not dressed for first class. He's clearly trying to sneak up here." Her husband snorted, "Probably some kind of security guard who got lucky." I tilted my head. If only they knew. The plane pushed back. We began taxiing. Karen kept twisting in her seat, complaining loudly. "This airline treats paying customers terribly. Why won't they remove him? I don't feel safe with him sitting there." Ironic. Very ironic, because I was the one keeping her safe. Then, right before takeoff, the situation escalated. Her husband stood up. During taxiing. Huge violation. He leaned toward me and growled, "Move to economy." We paid good money for peace and quiet. The flight attendant rushed over. "Sir, you need to sit down immediately," he barked. "Not until he moves." He pointed at me like I was an animal. That's when the final trigger happened. Karen shouted, "If the airline won't do something, we will." She reached toward my jacket, trying to grab me, trying to pull me out of my seat. That was it. Caught her wrist gently but firmly. "Ma'am," I said in a low, controlled voice, "I'm going to need you and your husband to remain seated. Right now." She snapped, "Who do you think you are?" And I said the line that changed everything. "Ma'am, I am the air marshal assigned to this flight." Dead silence. Her face drained of color. Her husband's mouth hung open. The flight attendant gasped softly, "Oh my God." I slowly reached into my jacket, pulled out my credentials, opened them clearly and said, "For the safety of every passenger aboard this aircraft, you will not touch me again." Every head in first class turned. Passengers stared. Some smirked. Some whispered. Karen stuttered. You're lying. You're not. You can't. I leaned closer and said quietly, try grabbing me again, and you'll find out. She sank back into her seat like a deflated balloon. Her husband sat so fast he nearly missed the cushion. I discreetly informed the flight attendants of the following. 1. Interfering with a flight crew or air marshal is a federal crime. Karen and her husband were seconds away from being removed. 2. Touching or attempting to remove another passenger is assault. 3. Standing during taxiing equals safety violation. 4. Harassment based on perceived class or race is unacceptable. 5. Air marshals have the authority to detain disruptive passengers. Mid-flight. The attendants nodded like they'd just met a superhero. The plane took off smoothly. Karen and her husband didn't say a single word for the first 20 minutes. Not even to each other. Then the chief flight attendant approached me quietly. Do you want them removed when we land? I looked over at the two troublemakers. Karen was trembling. Her husband wouldn't even look up. I said, not necessary, unless they continue being disruptive. She nodded, but karma wasn't done. 2 hours into the flight, turbulence hit. Karen grabbed the armrests, panicked, and pressed the flight attendant call button 6 times in 3 seconds. The attendant came over, but said politely, ma'am, please keep your hands to yourself. Also, the air marshal is directly next to you, if you feel unsafe. Karen shook her head violently. No, I'm fine. Sure you are. The remaining flight went smoothly. When we landed, 2 airport police officers met the aircraft, not to arrest them but to officially document the incident. Karen, cried her husband, tried explaining. The officers didn't care. They received a written warning, a federal behavioral incident report, possible no-fly watch list evaluation, and then the best part, as Karen stepped off the jet bridge, she turned around and whispered, I'm sorry. I nodded. That's the first-class behavior you should have shown from the start. She walked away without another word. If you've ever flown with a rude passenger, you know exactly how satisfying this felt. Do you think the air marshal should have had them removed mid-flight? Tell me below. I read every story. Asterisk, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more amazing HOA Karen stories.